The Sikha we'll be learning is in Kutasichas Chelik Chav Ches, the first Sikha to Parshas Nasso. In Parshas Nasso, it talks about the dinim of a Soite. Soite is where husband warns his wife not to go into hiding with a certain man, and then she does go into hiding. So there's a din that you take her to the Beis Hamikdash, and the whole process that we go through, you take some special water, and you also write a certain Megillah with certain psukim, and you scrape off the words, even though it has Hashem's name, and you put it in the water, and you give her to drink. And if she's guilty, then she will die. And there's a whole process what will happen when she will die. It says her feet will fall, and her stomach will blow up, etc., etc. But if she's not guilty, this is what the Pasuk speaks about, and this is what the Sikha is going to speak about. What happens? She has a bracha. But this is the Sikha. So let's start inside. The Siyum Parsha Seita Zog the Pasuk at the end of the Parsha concerning a Seita, the Pasuk says like this: if the woman is not impure, she is pure, which means she is innocent, not guilty. The Niksa v'Nizra Zora, she will be clean. The Nizra Zora, she will have Zora. The word Zora, Nizra Zora means she will have children. That's the simple meaning, the simple literal translation. But the verte v'Nizra Zora, Taich Rasha, but the words v'Nizra Zora, Rasha explains, Nogdan v'yeres mafarish, the Niksa means Memayim Amorim Kuluk Lekamis Gimel. After Rasha explains that the Pasuk says, the Niksa means Memayim Amorim, she will be clean from the bitter waters, because the waters are called Mayim Amorim, bitter waters. If she is guilty, she will be punished, she will die with the certain special death. But the Pasuk says if she's not Tomei, the Niksa, she will be clean. Clean from what? So Rashi says she will be not affected seemingly. She'll be clean from the Mayim Amorim, and that's the first part of Rashi, which the Rebbe will explain later in Sif Gimel. So after that, Rashi says on these words, the Nizra Zora means, Im hoysa yeledes betzar telet berebach. If till now she would give birth with pain, she would suffer when she gives birth. From now on, she will give birth berebach. She will give birth very easily. Im hoysa yeledes shcheirim. If till now she was giving birth to dark children, Yeledes Lavonim, she will now, from now on, give birth to white children, which means that she'll have a brocha. But Rashi gives the example of what will be the brocha be. So Rashi Taisha Nizra Zara, which the literal meaning would seem to be, she will have children, but it doesn't mean she will have children. Rashi says it means that the birth that she will have from now on will be different. Till now it was with pain. If it was with pain, she will now have without pain. If before it was the children were not so nice, now they will be nice. Is lachura to more the Rebbe says it's not understood. The moke from them Pirish Rashi, the moke, the source of what Rashi says is in Sifri and in Gemara, Mesechta Seite, in Tesefte, Valderach Ze in Yerushalmi Tamchume, and similarly, a little bit different, but also in Yerushalmi Tamchume, all these places where the Chazal say this idea. Und in die alle Erte bringt sich noch in Yoni Bruch. All the sources, all the places that are the sources of Rashi, he brings more other things of Brocha. The Kevis, like the Zechorim, for instance, till now she gave birth to females, to girls, she will have now boys. Ktsorim, like the Saruchim, till now, if she had short ones, she will have longer ones, taller children. When you nail the Erte, and in some of the places it says also Eich, another thing that says Echod Yeledesh Nine. If till now she only gave birth to one, she'll give birth to two. And also Yeledesh L'Shtei Shonim, Yeledesh B'chol Shon. If till now she gave birth every year, now she'll give every 2 years. Now she'll give birth every year. All kinds of brochas she will get. If after she drinks the water, she will be found innocent. If she will be innocent. So the question is, why does Rashi change from all the different places in Chazal? When he picks out of all the different things they say, picks out Dafke to mention two things. If she was giving birth till now with pain, she will give birth with revach easily. And if she gave birth till now shcherim, dark ones, she will have white ones. Why does Rashi pick those two out of all the examples that the Chazal give? Now in Order 11, the Rebbe adds another point here that Rashi makes writes different changes from the Lashon of the Chazal. Rashi writes in the first of the two, the Lashon is like this: if till now she gave birth with pain, Teleit berevach, she will give birth easily. So the word is tailored. It doesn't say if she was Yeledes Betzar, Yeledes, from now on, Yeledes Berevach. But it says tailored. The lake Bekol Mekemis Hanal, all the other places, it says Yeledes. And Kolosha Rashi himself in the second example, when he says from Shcherim, she will give back to Levanim, so Rashi says Yeledes, doesn't say tailored. So we see an interesting thing here, that by Negei, the first example of Tsar changes to Revach, he uses the word she will tailate, she will give birth. And the second one by Shcherim and Levanim, Rashi says Yeledes, not tailored, but Yeledes. It's also a point that later on in the Ha'ara 39, the Rebbe will answer this question too. But the main question that he asks is here, how come Rashi picks Tafke these two examples? The Heisif or the Hoyer, I want to add, and I want to comment, as if the Rambam plays zwei from the Inyonim. The Rambam also does this similar thing. He only, when he brings this, he brings two of the Inyonim. But not the same two as Rashi. Now he brings, but the first one like Rashi, if she gave birth with Tsar, she will now give birth Berevach. And the second thing he gives, till now she gave birth to girls, she will give birth to boys. So that's a derech haga, by the way, that the Rebbe mentioned, the Rambam also. But that's not the point of the Sikha. The point of the Sikha is Rashi. So why does Rashi mention Dafka these two when in the Chazal other things are mentioned, other brachas? Darf me sagen, so we have to say, as al derech ha-pshat, in Yonah Sheplet Rashi al-Teire, that according to the way we learn Psukim, according to Pshat, which is the way Rashi wrote his commentary, like he himself writes, in the few places he writes, I just came to explain Pshat. So whatever Rashi writes has to fit the Pshat. So it comes out, we have to say that according to Pshat, ken me medayik from Posik, nor die zwei broches was bringt. We could bring proof from the Posik, we could medayik in the Posik, only these two. So when the Gemara says it, that Gemara has droshes of Chazal, that's different things. But Pshat, for some reason, only these two things you can learn is the Pshat of the Posik and Nizar Zera. But the question is why? So understand this by another question. The Pirish HaPosher from Nizar Zera is the simple Pshat, simple meaning of the words V'Nizar Zera is very simple. But it means that if she's innocent, if she's tired, not only will she not have the punishment of her stomach blowing up and her feet falling and dying, but more than that, she will now have children. Some of them Mefarshim who learn Pshat in Posik according to Pshat, Taka learned that Pshat. And he gives an example of a Loshen that the Eben Ezra says. He says like this, Yitnu lo Hashem zera b'schar hakor and shilalo. Hashem will give her children as a reward for the embarrassment she had. She went through a whole embarrassment, and really she's innocent. If she's innocent, so she's innocent. So David says, I will give her children. As a reward, I'll give her children. And that's the simple meaning of the words. The Nizra Zera, she will have children. How is it that Rashi, that his thing is to explain the Pshat, Taish for Nizra Zera, he explains the words Nizra, Nit as sie wird haben Kinder. Doesn't say that means she will have children as it seems from the simple words. Nor as teilet berevach, ledes lavonim, lavonim, that she will give birth easier, she will give birth to nicer children, wider children. Why does Rashi not learn the simple, the words of Nizra Zera mean the simple meaning, which is she will have children? Now the Rebbe explained maybe a certain reason. In Gemara v'Sifri brings sich a pluktes zwischen Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel. In Gemara, and the same thing is Sifri, there's an argument between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Akiva says, "V'nikse b'nizra zora shim hoisa akora nifkedes." What does it mean? If she's clean, she will be clean and she will have children. Means that if till now she couldn't have children, she was an akora, she was barren. From now on, she will be remembered by Hashem. She will have children. Zogt of them Rabbi Shmuel. So Rabbi Shmuel says to Rabbi Akiva, if that'll help people who couldn't have children to have children, so all akoras, all barren women will go and do this hiding, and then they'll start having children. So it can't mean that the posik means that. The posik is not going to say something that will give a chance for other women to do this. The Mele, what does the posik? So Rabbi Shmuel says, what does the posik takim even nizra zora? She moisi letes betzar. He says these things that if she gave birth betzar, she'd give birth berevach, etc., etc. So Sogim Meforshim, so concerning this machlekes, the Meforshim say, as Rasha len nit Rabbi Akiva, him hoisa kora nifkedes. The reason why Rasha doesn't learn like Rabbi Akiva, what does the posik mean? The Nix of Nizar Zora, that if she couldn't have children till now, she will start having children. So Rasha couldn't say that mitzad kusha for Rabbi Shmuel. Meforshim say Rasha couldn't learn like Rabbi Akiva because of the kasha Rabbi Shmuel asked. What did he ask? That if so, all the akoros, all barren women will go and hide and go through the process and start having children. The Farnem Teron, the Pirush Rabbi Shmuel. That's why he goes like Rabbi Shmuel, that says that what it means is they'll have a special brocha, like the brocha that Rasha says, but not that she will start having children. This is a big deichek. It's very hard to say. This is the reason of Rasha was an on the Pirush Rabbi Shmuel, why he accepts the pshat of Rabbi Shmuel rather than the pshat of Rabbi Akiva. Vorum, and he says why. Because number one, the shaydlim can used to recall on koros yifkadu is nit as shver al kafon derech hapshat. This idea that the kasha that Rabbi Shmuel asked that if so, all the women who can't have children will go and hide and have children is in derech hapshat, not such a terrible, not such a big kasha. Why? Why? Number one, hiding itself, what she's going to do is not enough that she will start having children. When does her hiding work? That they will have to give her to drink. And she's innocent. And B'meila she'll have the bracha that she'll start having children. When does that all work? If the husband warned her husband warned her. So it's not up to her, that's up to the husband. And the order 24, the Rebbe says that Dasha even brings Dasha brings this also, that has to be a warning of the husband. So that's not dependent on the woman. And then the Mishnah even says it has to be in front of two Eidim. So there's other people involved, that's not up to her. Okay, Rashi said, the Rebbe said Rashi Chumash doesn't bring that has to be the stira, the hiding has to be in front of two Eidim, but the pale there has to be a hiding which is not in her hands. It has to be a mikina, it has to be a warning. Rashi, what I just said, Rashi does not bring it concerning the hiding, he only brings it by the warning. But it has to be a warning. And the warning is not in her hands. So the kasha and kasha, if this is true, then everybody will hide. They can't just hide. Hiding won't make him have children. It's dependent on somebody else. A second thing is, the thing itself, was it the grace of gewalt, ebas isha kshera nakoro, or there are filo merbi ein nakoro, but the stone, but it's nifket ver bezara chay v'kiyama. What's the big deal? What's this kasha? That women will do it. Let them do it. If they're takiness, they're not going to do something wrong. Elamai, they're going to hide, today they should drink, and they'll be innocent, and they'll get the bracha, they'll have children. So what's the big problem if a kosher woman, a fine woman, who's in Akora, can't have any children, and could be more than one person with them, many people who are like, well, who cares? So let them do it. They'll do it, and they'll be blessed with having Zara b'chayom, good children. And in order 25, the Rabbi brings that in Brochas, in the Gemara Brochas, it says Chana, the mother of Shmuel, the wife of Elkanah, said it. Since she couldn't have children, she said, Eilech v'astater. I'm going to hide. So we see she did say it. So it's not such a big deal. The Rebbe just reading. By the way, there's a discussion in the Mefarshim, how could a kosher, frum woman do it? That there's a Isser of Yichud. This thing of Satan won't be there. But to hide with a man privately is a Isser of Yichud. The woman is not allowed to have Yichud with another man. How could that be? And we see Chana did say she would do it. So it's a kasha and Chana too, but the Rebbe doesn't go into, he says, this is not a discussion here, but we do see that it's not such a terrible thing. So number one, why can't we say that the reason Rashi learns like Rabbi Shmuel, not like Rabbi Akiva, is because of the kasha he asked that everyone will do it? First of all, how could everyone do it? It depends on the husband to warn her. And the second thing, even if it does happen, it's not gefährlich. Second thing, on the other hand, the truth is, the same kasha as Rabbi Shmuel, v'teisvas frekt the bleib kasha, teisvas as the kasha, and says, and remains with the kasha. The same kasha he asked, Rabbi Shmuel asked, according to Rabbi Akiva, if you say the bracha is going to be that a woman who can't have children will start having children, therefore he learns that means a woman will be blessed by doing this. He kept the same kasha. Yisra kol yelis b'tzar whatever. Any woman who knows that she gives birth with pain, and she knows this is a way to get rid of it, she will do the same thing. She will go and hide, and she will, from now on, start giving birth easily. The Mefarshim talk about it. So you can't say that Rashi feels that we have to learn like Rabbi Shmuel because Rabbi Akiva's pshat has the problem. The kasha Rabbi Shmuel has, the kasha and Rabbi Shmuel pshat also. And the third thing, the kasha from Rabbi Shmuel im kain dafke if laid them pirish from Rabbi Akiva shoyis akor and nifkedes. Bechal the kasha of Rabbi Shmuel is on Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva did not say like Rashi exactly. Rabbi Akiva said that if she's a woman that's barren, that cannot have children, by doing this, and she's found innocent, and she is innocent, she will now be able to have children. But we're talking about an akora, a woman who can't have children. This heißt that the bracha v'nizra zora is gesagt geworden like Rabbi Akiva v'shaychas an akora. This bracha that she's going to start having children v'nizra zora is talking about an akora, a woman who can't have children. When we asked why Rashi doesn't say the simple pshat, we didn't mean that the kasha is, why doesn't he learn like Rabbi Akiva, that if it's an akora, from now on she'll be able to have children. Then you might as well say, he holds Rabbi Shmuel's kasha, every akora will do it. The kasha was not that. The kasha we're talking about most women. Anisha Ruile, a woman who could have children. As in schar von ihr kolin, yitel Hashem zera. Why couldn't we learn that this is not that she will from now on be changed? The kasha is the simple pshat of the words v'nizra zora means. From now on, she will have children. Till now, she was embarrassed. She went through a process of embarrassment. Leib will give her a reward of children. Ukimuvim bepashtets understood simply as echanisha what hotchen kinder is noch a kind abroch achitelo. Everyone knows that even if you have children, if you have another child, it's a big brocha. So why doesn't Rashi learn like that? Which is not what Rabbi Akiva said. Rabbi Akiva said that if she couldn't have children, she might. This will make her have children. Rabbi Shmuel said, but never one could do. We're not talking. The kasha and Rashi was not that. The kasha and Rashi. Why didn't Rashi learn that if she's innocent, the Nizra Zora, she's now going to have children. It's a reward. David should give children. She has children. She could have children. She had children. David shall give her another child. Why can't we learn like that? And that seems to fit to the simple words. Also have to understand the beginning of Rashi. As we said in the beginning, there's a beginning of Rashi here. What's the beginning of Rashi? Rashi says like this. He quotes the words from Pasuk, v'niksa, means she'll be clean, innocent. So Rashi says innocent from what? Mimayim amorim. From the bitter waters, the cursed waters. V'layet, not only that, ela v'nizra zora, but she will also nizra zora, and he claims, what does nizra zora mean? If she till now she was giving birth with pain, now she will be easy. Till now it was shcheirim, now she'll have levonim. That's what Rashi says. It's not understood, this Rashi. What is Rashi telling us? Why does he have to tell us? What does Rashi mean? Rashi says, Beniksa means from the Mayim Amorim. She will be clean from the cursed waters. That means she will not be punished. The cursed waters are cursed and they cause a punishment, cause her to die. If she's tired, if she's innocent, she will be clean from that, which means she will not die. What does Rashi have to say? This is movement me'elav, it's self-understood. Doesn't appear to shaposha for niksa, from niksa. It's self-understood that when the Torah says she'll be clean, means from these waters, from the cursed waters. It says clearly in the pasuk when the Kohen makes her swear, as Psukim he says to her before. And he says in the pasuk, it says the Kohen says to her, sotis, if you did not turn away, which means if you are not guilty, you will be clean from these bitter cursed waters. So the pasuk says clearly that the cleanliness that the pasuk is talking about is from the curse of this water. So why here, when the pasuk says if she's clean, so Rashi has to add, from what she's clean, from the cursed waters. Well, obviously that's a simple pshat. Now the Ram Mizrachi learn, Rashi is trying to tell us something here. Shouldn't think that the words v'niksa is just an introduction to the words v'nizra zora, which means we have mashman from Pashtas Loshna Pasuk, the way it seems from the simple pshat in the Pasuk, v'nizra zora is at itself v'niksa. That why is v'nizra zora? Because of v'niksa. So you could learn v'niksa is not telling you should be clean from the waters. She'll be clean. What does the cleanliness contain? The cleanliness is that she will have zera, v'nizra zora. So you could have learned like that. When the pshat of Posik is, according to that, the pshat of the Posik is, the niksa mitvorim hamenim aleido b'zev nizra zora. She will be clean from things that hold back from her having children. she'll be clean from that problem. With this, she'll become clean from if she had any problems, basically, of not having children, she would be clean. That's what Kamir Rasha says. That's not the pshat. He says, that v'niksa means she will be clean from the cursed waters, which is that she will be saved from her stomach blowing up and the falling of the foot. When Nisra Zora is in your last, then it's another thing. So Rasha tells us like this: she will be clean. It's inya for itself. Not that she'll be clean means as an introduction. She'll be clean, and it means she will have children. That means if she didn't have children till now, she'll be clean from the problem and she will have children. So that's why Rasha says that the niksa means she will be clean from the water, from the curse. And the Nisra Zora is a separate inyan. Nisra Zora is a bracha she will have. So the answer to the shayla. The question was, why did Rasha have to tell us the niksa means from the water, from the curse of the water? Isn't it self-understood? Yeah, it's self-understood, but you could have learned that that's like the beginning of Nisra Zora. But this pshat is not clear. How could he even have thought that the niksa means she'll be clean from things that hold back her having children? She had a problem before. If a woman, she had a problem before having children, she'll be clean from that problem. That's not it. You don't say she'll be clean from it. She'll be like innocent from it. The she'll be cured, if that's what it means. So there's no havim in it to think Niksa means she'll be clean from the problem of not having children. The main thing is, how could he even think to say the Pshat and Posik she'll be clean from things that hold back her birth? This will come out, that when it says in earlier psukim, where the Kayan tells her, we quoted before, the Kayan tells her, if you're innocent, you will be clean from the from the bitter, cursed water of these. Now, if we would think that the pasuk here, when it says v'niksa, doesn't mean that, it means you be clean from your problem of not having children, it'll come out that what the Kayan said before, it's not mentioned at all in what the Torah is saying now. The Torah says what the Kayan tells her what's going to happen. What's going to happen if she's guilty, what's going to happen if she's innocent. Then the Torah goes on, that if she is guilty, this and this and this will happen, as the Kayan said. If she's innocent, this and this and this, that the Kayan said will happen. If the word, the nixer, does not go on the water, that the curse of the water, that she be clean from the curse of the water, but it says something else, that she be clean from the sickness, for the problem she had, not having children, then when the Kayan said, you will be clean from the cursed waters, I'm not mentioning what happened. Whatever the Torah says is supposed to happen, is written later, is this what happened? One of the things the Kayan said is going to happen, you'll be clean from the curse of the water. And if the Niksa here doesn't mean that, then that part is not written. That's not easy to understand. Why would we think so? Why would they even have him to think that the Pasuk means the Niksa, the Nisra Zora go together? And the Pasuk is not saying the Niksa from the water. When the Kayan said before, you will be you will clean from the water. He nokim me'amorim. And the Torah should have mentioned that's going to happen. It doesn't mention. So we self-understand that when the Torah says here, Niksa, it means from the water. Because now this is the fulfillment of what the Kayan said before is going to happen. Al derazeh is kosher in Tiritz from Guraria. Same problem we have with Teretz that a different Maferish says. That's the Gurari. What did he say? As Rasha you shouldn't think the Niksa means she'll be saved from the punishment. You will not be punished. Like it says in another pasuk, the pasuk says that if she does die, the man shouldn't feel guilty. He'll be clean from Naveir, from doing any Naveir, doing anything wrong. And Einish. So you could say here also, the Niksa means she will be not from the water, she's from any punishment. But you can't learn that. Since the pasuk said earlier, what the Kayan tells her, and says clearly, you will be clean from this bitter, cursed water, is why would he even think? Why would we think that the words v'niksa, which is at the end, at the same lashon as it says before, and here it's at the end, of what happened should mean something else than what the Kayan said before. If he said before, you will be hinoki from the waters, curse of the water. So now it says v'niksa makes sense. It makes from the water. Why would they even be having it? Means it would clean from any punishment. So so we're back to the kasha. It's very obvious that when the pasuk says v'niksa, it means from the water, from the curse of the water. So why does Rashi have to explain? V'niksa means mimayim amorim, from the curse of water. It's obvious. Rashi doesn't have any extra word. He only tells us things that without him writing it, we wouldn't know it on our own. So why wouldn't we know this on our own? The Schapiro the beer because I said the pshat like this. Rashi Rashi in his comment here comes to answer a simple kasha in the pasuk. Gebal das man machbi sein die Shabbat ist gerechnet alle Protein welche werden geschehen wird jetzt so verstehst mein Memorium. Since when the Kohen spoke to her first and he makes her swear, that's called the mashbiah her, and he mentions every detail of what's going to happen as a result of her drinking the water. Even if she didn't, she's innocent, not guilty. Or if she is guilty, he says exactly what's going to happen. He says everything is going to happen. How is it that afterwards, when the pasuk when the pasuk says what actually is going to happen, and it says what's going to happen if she's not guilty, we have a new thing here. Here it says, if she's innocent, didn't say before that the Cain told her, if you're guilty, so and so and so. If you're innocent, you'll be clean from the waters. And Benizra Zora. Doesn't say those things. Whatever that should mean, but it doesn't say it. When it comes to actually happening, it says Benizra Zora. Everything else, whatever it says before, is what's going to happen. Whatever is going to happen says before, except this one thing. It says a new thing that's going to happen if she's innocent, but it didn't say it before. To answer this question, is Rashi might if Rashi quotes the word from Pod Nixo, und sagt, what he says, it means from the cursed waters. And then he continues, and not only that, but when it's all one thing that Rashi is telling us. He says like this, you will be clean, you'll be clean from the water, and not only that, which basically is saying, not only would you be clean from the water, but there's something else that the water will do. That's part of what the water is going to do. That's part of the being clean from the curse of the water. What is it? Before us was now shall have Rabbi, before was Schapiro, now it's the but the mitvil Rashi Matkish, by Rashi writing these words, you'll be clean from the Mayim Amorim, and not only that, but V'nizra Zora, as mit V'nizra Zora making the Torah to make an aschar stam as bekommt. The Torah is not trying to add just a reward you will get. Stam a reward. It's Adam Kolam was his Durikan because the embarrassment you had before. No, this is like they saw a pula from the Mayim Amorim Gufa. This that'll be V'nizra Zora is a result of the water. The high note, it means like this. As neat nor was the Mayim will nicht pales and Kippuroni is not only would the water not cause any punishment. Es wird von say bottle when the curse of the water will become bottle. So not only that, nor not only that, but that means the Mayim will noch pales and shaprocha. The water will bring you a brocha. Heper the Morim, the opposite of being cursed. What will be the brocha of Nisra Zora? So Rashi is not just trying to tell us what the Niksa is from. It's from the curse of the water. It's obvious. He's trying to tell you something else, that when it says he will clean from the curse of the water, and not only that, the curse of the water will be changed. It will become a bracha. And what will be the bracha of Nizar Zara? And in order 34, the Rebbe says it fits to what the Zayar says. It says in Zayar, Ilan Mayin Eloim Begava, there's special water in it. Is Hapchu Mesika, they become sweet. Venokon Garmo, the Kaim Bagawa, it'll be clean within her, and it'll be within Adam Isabro. Till she gets pregnant, have a Mishafre. Bro Schapiro, she will have nice children. Noki. Which according to Zoyar, the fact that she will be blessed with Nisra Zora, with all the brachas that it brings, is a result of the water. The water will bring her the bracha. On the far lake, so Rashi, that's what Rashi adds. The Niksa means Mamayim Amorim, that clean from the Maimorim. Because it's not as if to shales and ananda pirish v'niks. It's not like the other Mepharshim say, because we might think a different shot. So Rashi has no means from the water. That the Rebbe said, it's clear that it's not like that. Nor if Tzemad Gezayin v'der Nizra Zora Shalach is atitzof from the Mayim Amorim. He wants to show that the fact what it says later when it said Nizra Zora, is a result of the Mayim Amorim. No, but it's not in spite of the water. Even though she drank water, those water occurs, that won't happen. And nevertheless, but in addition, she'll have a bracha. No, the water will change, will turn into a bracha. The water will make, it won't be Mayim Amorim, but the same water which was Mayim Amorim will turn into good water. And the Rebbe in Order 35 says, the water are referred to as holy, as Rashi says. Why are they called Mayim Amorim? Not because Be'em is they're cursed, are bitter. Rashi says in Chumash, they're called bitter because of the end will be, if she's guilty, she'll have a bitter end. And in Zohar it also says that this V'niksa B'nizra Zora here is similar to what it says when Yidden went on Mitzrayim and they came to a place, to Morah, and there was bitter water. So it says that Vayim Tok HaMayim, the water became sweet. So the mayim that were bitter became sweet. So the same mayim changed. So the Zohar refers to it here too, that the water which was bitter, it's holy water, and it's going to become, this itself will become sweet, it will become good. According to this, it comes out as the Nizra Zora is a tail v'hemshech from the Niksum Mayim Amorim, that when the Pasuk says the Nizra Zora, which means she'll have children, is not just a brocha, she'll have children. It's a result of what happened to the water. That the water before was cursed, now the water contains a brocha. Is the Meile, so is nit ken kasha, was das wird nit gesagt früher bei Mashbi sein die Isha. Now we understand why it's not mentioned when the Kohen was speaking to the woman. Kasha was before. If everything that happens later, the Kohen told her before, why didn't he tell her Nizar Zora? But now we're saying Nizar Zora is not an inyan for itself. It's part of what's going to happen to the water. While the Kohen is og dem inyan nor beif and kloli. The Kohen tells her generally, if you are innocent, you will be clean from the cursed waters. That itself contains two things. It won't hurt you. Not only that, it'll become good, but it's part of being clean from the cursed waters. When the Noach, the Posik, so he says it very general, the Kayan, and later on when that happens, the Posik Mafaret, as the Inokim Yamorim, is Keilich, them prat from Nizar Zora, that the Kayan said you'll be clean from the cursed waters, includes also this detail of a Nizar Zora. And the Rebbe in Order 37 says, especially the Nizar Zora is not what's happening now. So it's another reason why the Kayan wouldn't mention it before, because he's only saying what's going to happen on the spot. Nizar Zora will be later. But if this was a separate thing, he should have said it anyway, because this is a new thing that's going to happen. So even though he's only talking basically what's going to happen now, but something else that's going to happen, he should have said it. But now that we're saying it's not a new thing, it's something that happens later, and it's not a new thing, that's why the Kayan didn't mention. He mentioned generally Hinoki from the water, will be clean from the water, and part of that cleanliness is that the water will turn into bracha. Now we'll understand, to answer the kasha we asked in the beginning, why does Rashi pick Tafka these two examples? That if she gave birth before with pain, now it'll be easy. Before she gave birth to Shcheirim, now with birth to Levonim. Why does he pick this and not the other things the Gemara mentions? Based on the whole thing we said before, we'll understand. Since this V'nizra Zora is a result, it's an effect that the water has. Instead of having the opposite thing, if she would be guilty. If she's innocent, the water is the opposite. So it would make sense that the good effect it has when this same water is on the good side is similar to the bad effect on the other side. What does that mean? If she would have been guilty, then what would the Mayim Amorim do? The Mayim Amorim would do not only she die, which means, like Rashi uses Losha, Rashi says the Amorim means makes her missing from the world. She goes away from the world. That's not the only thing. How will she go away from the world? How will she die? In a eifin of tsar, in a form of pain, in Yisurim. The post betzofsa bitnov, your stomach will blow up and your thigh will fall. So that's what the water will do. The water in the bad side will give her tsar. I say the pula lebrocha from the mayim balesa this. Therefore, the same thing when she is innocent, the good side, the pula, the brocha that the water gives is neat, not as if it doesn't mean only she'll have children. Kasha was, why doesn't Rasha learn she'll have children? Because there has to be something more. It won't only be she'll have children. No, the way she'll have children is the opposite of pain. If she till now she had betzar, now she'll have revach. And the Rebbe explains also why Rasha, this is in order 39, the kasha we asked in the beginning from order 11, why Rasha writes Teled. Im hoyse yeledes betzar Teled berebech, not yeledes berebech. Teled is on her to show that the bracha here is on something within her. Tsar is something in the person. And the Rasha says that what happened means she had tsar, now she'll have revach. So that's why it says Teled, she will birth. Tsar, how will it birth? When it says in the second one she will have Lovonim, that's something in the child. Child will be in a certain thing. That's what there is. Rashi says Yeledes. The birth will be. Teled means she will give birth because we're talking about Tsar. So that's the first thing, because the opposite of the other side, which is she has Tsar, here she'll have Revach. And the second thing, Al derech zeh, Levonim, till now she had dark ones, she'll have white ones, is the opposite also of what would have happened had she been guilty. The nigu to the shachar saponim is the opposite of the darkness of the face. If she would get the punishment and her stomach will blow up and her thigh would fall, her face would become black. So now he's saying, by the good side, the opposite of black, there's going to be white. And in order 40, the Rebbe says that another nekuda here, probably the water was black, because they put in the water sand. It says one of the things they put into the water is sand from the floor of the Beis Hamikdash. So that probably made it black. So instead of black, there is something white. But the other things that Chazal bring, the caves, that if she had before girls, she'll have boys. If she had short ones, she'll have tall ones. Or if one, till now she was one, now she'll give birth to two. Till now she gave once in 2 years, now she'll give every year. To the pula by sotis from the Mayim Amorim. That's nothing there that is similar, the opposite side, but similar to what would happen if she'd be guilty. So therefore, in Pshat, there's no reason to say it. In Pshat, we only say Nisa Zora, she will have children. That's all it is. But it can be only Stamit will have children, because there has to be something the opposite of she's guilty. So these two things are the opposite, but other things are not connected to the Pshat and the Posik. Now the Rebbe says like this: the Rinya of Nisa Zora is Nitzla Maschar nor Atitzoe from the Mayim Amorim Atzmon. Now that we said that this Nisa Zora is not just a reward she'll get for being innocent, but it's a result of the Mayim Amorim themselves, of the water themselves, is it fits to the deeper meaning of what a Saita represents. Betchila Se'inyan, Rebbe is going to explain that Saita represents doing an Aveira, and when she comes out innocent, is doing Tshuva. Betchila Se'inyan, the Posik Ish Kesish, the Ish, down beginning of the Inyan, the Posik starts off, Ish, the man, if his wife will turn away, it means she's going in the wrong direction. A person doesn't do an Aveda unless a certain spirit of stupidity comes into his mind. Because hey, so right away we see from the Gemara as an inyan aseitim ramas at meruach shtus v'chagit afshoris nizgeirem the bottom zalevas ein eiver Aveda. That the inyan of seite, because the Gemara says this represents the ruach shtus that the person has to do an Aveda. So obviously, we see from this Gemara that the Saita represents the shtus, the spirit of stupidity that falls into a person's mind to do an Aveda. This is the idea that by a Saita, the husband warned her not to hide with this man. Then that's kinui. Then comes the stira, she actually went to hide. That's the ruchnis dikeminim, because by every Aveda it's like that. As I eat ba'halzich, when the Eid hides, which means kehrt sich up from the Meibrish, the Eid turns away from the Eibishter. Der Ish, who's the man in the Ruchnis Dikatel? There's the husband and the wife. The Eibishter is the husband, we're the wife. So when it says that the Eibishter, which is der Ish, because the Pasuk Ish, kesis the Ish, if the man, his wife, turns away. So who is that? The man is the Eibishter. He's the husband of Knesset of the Eden, which means he turns away, doesn't have it. Even though the man, the husband, which is the Eibush, warned the wife, which is the Eden, don't hide with anybody else. Where did he warn that? There should be no other God besides me. And the Eid doesn't listen. And he does hide with somebody else, which is the Yetzirah. However, 45, the Rebbe says that after the Egel, Moshe Rabbeinu ground the Egel and put it into water and gave the Eden to drink like Seitos. So right away we see the connection between Seitos and doing an Aveda. And here the Rebbe says, so doing an Aveda is hiding. And he says in order 47, the Pasuk says such a lotion. It says in the Pasuk, Im Yesoser, Ishmem Mistarim, if a person will hide. That means there is such a thing that a person wants to. What's hiding of a person? Turning away from Davish, there's hiding. Davish, they warned, don't go to Yetzirah. He calls it Avodah Zarah, don't go to Yetzirah. And he goes and does that. So now, if there's a case where the person, by the wife, by the Saita, she's innocent, in this case, what would it mean? This Niksa, she's clean. When Nizar Zara, Vais Adiminya Tshuva. Shows that you did Tshuva. Durch Tshuva wird nicht nur rein, wenn Niksa für Tumas Achet. You do Tshuva, not only to become clean from the impurity of the Aveda, nor noch more than that, es wird aufgetan, and you become greater than before. Kamaima, like the famous statement, in the place where Baal Tshuva stands, Tzadikim don't stand there. So you reach a higher madrega when you do Tshuva. So we have two things. Just like we have by the Saita, you have, she does what she went to hide, the husband warned her, she went to hide, but if she's innocent, she drinks the water, and what happens, she's clear. Same thing in Ruchnius. You could have a person who doesn't have Veda, that's similar to becoming a Saita, but if you're clear, it means you did Tshuva. But to come, a new thing comes here. And this is what Rashi tells us in Pshat, and we apply it here to the spiritual meaning. Which the fact that you get the bracha of Nizar Zora, which we said now in Ruchnius means the aliyah shal tshuva, the elevation, the higher level you reach the tshuva, is not stam azayte kerinyan. It's not just you do tshuva, so you become a higher madrege. But those gufa nemt sich von dem Maimam gufa. That is a result of the water, which means the aliyah is verbunden damit for the Maimam gufa is mamhapach l'tev. It's the water itself that gets transformed. Which in this case, in the Maimam represents the Avedas and the punishment you're supposed to get for the Aveda. And when you do tshuva, it's not only just a Aveda, and there's a do tshuva. And when you do tshuva, you reach a madrege. It's the changing of the Maimam, which is the ishapche. Like it says in Zayar, that you have to have ishapche, you have to exchange, transform. The same bad turns into good. And it says the Losh, it says, and the bitter taste becomes sweet. It's the same lotion. It exchanged that the bitter, similar to the Maimam Morim, becomes sweet. It's not only that you don't have punishment for the Aveda. The Avedas turn into mitzvahs. The Aveda themselves turn into mitzvahs, which fits to what we said in the Pshat, that the Maimam Morim itself turns into giving you a bracha. This explains another thing. Why this whole thing of Nizra Zora says at the end of the parsha, when it's kumta ruiz bepel, when actually you get it to meet free and not before in the shvua. This answers another thing according to Chassidus, the kasha we asked before. Why doesn't the Kayan mention it? So when Pshat, the Rebbe gave the reason is because in the Kayan says the general thing, and this is just a detail in what's going to happen when she's clean from the water. But the Chassidus Rebbe has a deeper Pshat. Now that the Chassidus said that if she becomes clean, she's innocent, that means she did tshuva. And she did tshuva, she becomes a higher madrege, and this dainus becomes zochias. Now we'll understand why it's not written before. This idea that when you lower yourself and you do an avera, but after you have the aliyah, and you become greater than before the chet, that's what we're saying here, that if you do tshuva, you become higher. It can't be written clearly before it speaks about being tshuva. Before we know about tshuva. When the Kain warned her, that is written before the water came and proved that you're in this. That means before we're talking about the tshuva. Before a person does tshuva, you can't tell the guy, don't worry, do the Aveira, he'll do tshuva. If a person doesn't Aveira, knowing it because he knows he could do tshuva, the Eibusher doesn't allow him to do tshuva. You can't do an Aveira with the make a calculation that through the Aveda, and then you'll do tshuva, you'll reach a higher madrega. Before the Aveda, if you think that way, it's wrong. You can't do that. And the Rebbe in order 50 adds, not only means that the person can't do it. The Avedas themselves, that before you do tshuva, they are klippe. It is like a klippe, and it's against the Eibishter's rotzen. And the fact that you switch is transform after tshuva is a new thing that happens. It's a chidush gomer, the Rebbe says. So before it couldn't be written. Only after there's really tshuva, actually tshuva. Then as the kavona from them is given after you do tshuva. Then turns out that the purpose of all this was not only should you be as clean as you were before the Aveda, which means it'll go of a higher level. Now you'll have children berevach, have them easy. And they'll be white, etc., etc. But you could only say that after. And it's interesting that the Rebbe in Order 55 says that one of the psukim that talk about the hint of tshuva is mina meitza karosiko, that I call today when I'm in a meitza, in a tzora, in a problem, anoni b'merchav. Hashem will answer b'merchav. That's the tshuva. So here we see, b'negei tshuva, we use the loshen merchav, which is the same loshen as revach. Even though it's spelled a little different, but it's the same teichen as revach. It's because the revach that's going to be there is through the tshuva, but that's only afterwards. Before that, it's not like that. Before that, we can't tell you that you're going to reach higher madregas because if you're innocent. Innocent here means innocent doing tshuva, and you'll be higher than before. It's written later. Then the Rebbe says, Yisrael tshuva miyad and the Golan, and Yidden do tshuva, and they will be redeemed right away. Asmuras dem tsar v'yisurim v'chevel Mashiach. And instead of having the tsar, the pain, the suffering from Chevel Mashiach, from the labor pains, we call it, before Mashiach is coming, that revach, you get revach. That's what the pasuk tells you. You don't have the tsar, which is called Chevel later. That coming of Mashiach is considered like giving birth. So until now, she gave birth. We're saying here in the simple pshat, she gave birth the tsar, which represents that there could be in the birth the labor pains of coming of Mashiach of tsar should be revach. When Ashtod the Shachris of Golas, and instead of the darkness of Golas, and that's by Golas we find a loshen in Chazal called darkness. The Chazal tell us, as the Rebbe says in Hora 58, in Gemara Megillah, that and quotes the loshen, that the Eden's face became dark like the bottom of a pot. So instead of that, Vert Levoni become white, which is the Eira Gula, the light of Gula. Gula is white, the light is light. And the Revach Levonim Heipsichon noch Lifnei Gula, and this Revach and this Levonim, the white, which is light, is not only that's when the Gula will be, but happens before the Gula, in the lets that are going from Golas in the last minutes or seconds from Golas, and that was, this is going to be when Mashiach will come, which is similar to the way it was when Yidden went on in Mitzrayim. Was when Yidden went on in Mitzrayim, was noch sein dik in Mitzrayim lifnei Agul is bottle geworden the Shibud Tzar, that while the Yidden were still in Mitzrayim, before they left, before the Gula, they already stopped working. There was no more Shibud, no more Tzar. Noch mer b'chol b'nei Yisrael and in Golas yet, in Mitzrayim already there was light. All the Yidden had light b'mishveisam in their place where they lived. And that's what we're saying here also. Beruchni is that this will happen also, that the Geula will come, but before the Geula yet, we should have the Inyan no more Tsar of the Golas, and we should have no more Cheshach Svi'er. When we get to the Geula, Amitas Vashleim and Leitim from Beshuva V'nachas Tivashein, and we go to Geula, the real Geula and the complete Geula in the form of the Beshuva V'nachas Tivashein, we will be helped, but it'll be calmly. Not even like Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim, they had to run. Here they didn't, we won't run, we'll go slowly and calmly, and it should be B'mheira B'yameinu Mamish very soon in our days Mamish.